In this video, you will learn what a verification or sanitization function is, why programs need one, and how to apply the two main approaches, stripping out bad characters or rejecting input that contains them. You have already seen one example of an injection attack using SQL. The same idea applies to other attacks too, and the defense is the same in every case. Before we can talk about defenses, we need to look at why user input can be dangerous in the first place. An application passes user input into a SQL query template. The application does not write the whole query itself. It writes out most of it and leaves a hole where the user's input goes. Whatever the user types ends up inside those quotes, and the finished query gets sent to the database. That handoff is where the problem starts. By the time the query reaches the database, it is all one string, and the database has no way to tell what came from the application and what came from the user. Now look at what happens when the user types something that contains SQL punctuation. This is the Bobby tables payload you saw earlier. The single quote ends the name value early. The semicolon separates one statement from the next. The double dash starts a comment. None of these are valid in a name, but the database does not know that. It just reads the string as SQL. The single quote, semicolon, and double dash all carry structural meaning in SQL. When they show up inside a value the application thought was just a name, the database reads part of the input as code instead of text. The fix is to stop trusting raw user input. Programs need something checking the input before it ever reaches the database, the file system, or wherever it's going. A verification or sanitization function sits between the user and the rest of the application. The user types something. The sanitizer looks at it. If everything checks out, the sanitizer passes the safe version along to the application, which then runs its query or processes the file or whatever it was going to do. Notice that the application itself never sees raw user input. The sanitizer is a checkpoint. That checkpoint has two possible outcomes, not just one. A verification or sanitization function examines user input, then either modifies it or rejects it. If it modifies the input, the cleaned up version flows along to the application. If it rejects the input goes nowhere. The user is sent back with an error and has to try again. The next few slides cover those two outcomes in detail. Both are legitimate strategies in the AP cybersecurity curriculum. The choice between them depends on the application. The first approach is to scan the input, take out anything dangerous, and pass the rest along. The function scans the input, removes any disallowed characters, and passes the clean version to the application. On screen, you can see the Bobby tables payload with the dangerous characters highlighted in red, a single quote, a closing paren, two semicolons, and a double dash. The after row shows what the input looks like after stripping those characters out. The dangerous punctuation is gone, but the surrounding text is left in place. The list at the bottom names the characters that were removed: the single quote, the paren, the semicolon, and the dash. The AP standard names three control characters: the single quote, the double quote, and the semicolon. In practice, a strip-style sanitizer often removes other characters too, like the SQL comment dash and the parens, because those also carry structural meaning in SQL. Like any security choice, stripping has trade-offs. On the upside, the user submits the form once. They do not get bounced back with an error. The application also always receives something it can process, which keeps the user flow smooth. On the downside, the original input is altered without telling the user. Someone whose name is O'Brien typed it correctly, but the system stored it as O'Brien without an apostrophe. That is a real issue if the name has to match a legal record somewhere else. The strip approach favors user experience. It accepts the cost of slightly altered data in exchange for not interrupting the user. The second approach takes a different stance. If anything looks wrong, the function refuses to process the input at all. The function refuses input containing disallowed characters and returns an error to the user. On screen, the Bobby tables payload arrives at a check. Does this string contain a single quote, double quote, or semicolon? The check itself is simple. It does not try to fix anything. It just looks at the input and decides whether to let it through. When the answer to that question is yes, the input gets blocked. The new box you see is the error message the application sends back. Error. Name cannot contain quotes or semicolons. Please re-enter your name. The input never reaches the database. The user has to type the name again. Two things matter about this error. First, the user knows something was wrong. They are not silently getting the wrong data stored. Second, the error message is specific. A vague error like invalid input does not help anyone fix the problem. Reject has the opposite trade-off profile from strip. On the upside, the original input is never silently altered. What the user typed is either accepted as is or thrown out entirely. There's no in between. The user also gets an explicit signal that something was wrong, so they know how to fix it. On the downside, the user has to retype the input. That is a friction point in any form. And a vague error message can leave the user unsure of what to change, which can cause them to give up. Reject favors data integrity. The cost is user effort. So which approach do you use? Both approaches are valid. The right choice depends on the application. Use strip when the input is informal and a smooth experience is the priority, or when removing a character will not change the meaning. A search box on a blog is a good example. If a user types weird punctuation, you can quietly drop it and still return useful results. Use reject when the input must be preserved exactly or when the data is security sensitive. A payment field cannot quietly drop characters from a dollar amount. A database admin tool should not silently rewrite an admin's input. In those cases, you want the user to see the error and try again. On an AP exam question, you may see a scenario where either approach is described. The goal is to recognize both and to understand the trade-offs that explain why a particular system would pick one over the other. SQL injection is the most teachable example because the mechanics are visible in a single line of code. But the underlying mistake, pasting raw user input into something else that will interpret it, shows up all over the place. Input from outside the application should be sanitized before use, no matter where it's going. Login forms, search boxes, file uploads, URL parameters, API requests, all 5 of those are entry points for outside data, and any one of them can be used to slip something dangerous into the system. Many entry points, one defense. Every one of those entry points needs to be checked the same way. You cannot sanitize one source and leave another wide open, because attackers will find the unprotected one. 3 application attacks share the same root cause: untrusted input flowing into something that interprets it. Let's walk through each. SQL injection. Input is read as database commands. This is the one you have seen. User input shows up inside a SQL query, and the punctuation makes part of it look like code. Cross-site scripting, or XSS. Input is rendered as part of a web page in another user's browser. Picture a comment field. If a comment contains characters the browser reads as the start of code instead of text, and the site posts it back unchecked, that code runs in the browser of everyone who views the page, or can act as them on the site. A later lesson covers how to spot this kind of input in detail. Directory traversal. Input is used to build a file path the application opens. The classic example is .. If a download URL takes a file name and the application just opens whatever you ask for, an attacker can type something like .. // etc/password and read a system file the application never meant to share. All 3 of these attacks are listed in the AP Cybersecurity curriculum. The defense in every case is the same. Sanitize the input before passing it to anything that will interpret or use it. You now have the full picture. A verification or sanitization function checks user input before the application uses it. Strip removes the dangerous characters and passes the rest along. Reject refuses anything that looks suspicious and sends the user back to try again. Both are valid. The right pick depends on whether smooth user experience or exact data preservation matters more. SQL injection is one example, but the same fix protects against XSS and directory traversal too. Anywhere user input flows into something that will interpret it, sanitize first. Up next, you will get to apply this in a hands-on exercise where you break a vulnerable SQL login and then write a sanitization fix yourself.